While most of Zeta's changes were with regards to the system balance updates, so her Rhapsody counters got reworked a little bit, there is one other change that I want to explore with Zeta as well, and that is going to be to her Spears of Arvis downwards follow-ups where their launch height has been increased. To do this, we're going to compare the old frame advantage that we had in a particular sequence and then compare it to the current version of the game. Previously here, Zeta could be about plus 33 within this range, and what that would effectively mean is that if you were to use this as a combo ender of sorts, you were not able to get a safe jump. This is simply demonstrating that fact. Now, with the increased launch height on these downward follow-ups, Zeta has more frame advantage to work with depending on your own execution, which not only opens up new potential combo routing for the character or making existing combo routing easier, but it also means that Zeta potentially has access to new Okizeme options. Here we have a full plus 40 advantage, so 7 more frames of advantage. This means that we can actually safe jump against heavy DPs. And now you can actually safe jump against these heavy DPs, meaning that Zeta has another potential way to route into her high-low mix-up at the end of some of her combos. This example I demonstrated was a pretty basic and simple one that probably isn't going to be used often because there's a lot more damage that you could do with some of these confirms, but situations or setups like this could open up for Zeta that weren't possible before. Of course, it bears mentioning that while you might be able to safe jump against heavy DPs with some of the new setups that could exist, ultimate DPs will still be something that Zeta will have to also be on the lookout for, since they have faster startup, means that sometimes these safe jumps will still lose to an ultimate DP. So be sure to be thorough in your labbing and experimentation when it comes to designing new setups like this. Of course, if your opponent doesn't have any ultimate DP or reversal for you to worry about, you could pretty easily set up a fuzzy high-low mix-up here. And of course, with the new launch height giving you more frame advantage, this improves the normals that you can get links off of in your juggle combos. For example, close heavy here dropped before, and I haven't been able to make it combo successfully in any of these attempts using this particular routing. Maybe there is a way to do it, and I'm just ignorant as a non-Zeta player. But in my testing on the new patch, I am able to get a close heavy to link in that juggle. So overall, this can improve the damage that Zeta gets in some of her combo structures ever so slightly. I'm going to leave it to more experienced Zeta players to be posting their new combo videos to demonstrate what's now possible thanks to the increased launch height on this Spear of Arvis follow-up. While I discussed the changes to Rhapsody now having a counter hit state after the parry wears off, there was one other change also done to Rhapsody that is a bit of a nerf to Zeta overall. Previously, you could do any of her follow-ups pretty much well after any of the parry frames had expired before. You could wait until Zeta is in that stance well into frame 40 or so before you actually do any of the follow-ups in the previous patch. Now, all follow-ups are disabled from being used after the 26th frame of the move, which I believe is when the parry window of Rhapsody ends. This means that anyone who's fighting Zeta doesn't have to worry about her canceling out of her recovery frames from Rhapsody to interrupt with a poke. There's a much more defined window for when Zeta can actually poke back, and if you try to input anything after that 26th frame, Zeta will simply exit Rhapsody's stance as she's in recovery state and not do anything. So there's a much more defined window for when Zeta can actually act, simplifying the RPS in this situation to be more in favor towards Zeta's opponent rather than Zeta herself. Overall, Zeta has a bit of a buff and a bit of a nerf in this patch, and while I think it's going to take maybe a week or so for Zeta players to really optimize what they can do with the improved launch height from the follow-ups to Spear of Arvis, the impact on her Rhapsody now being in a counter hit state after recovery, having a much shorter window for her to actually input a follow-up, will be something that is noticed more immediately. She's still overall going to be the same character, and I definitely think that in terms of her gains, they outweigh what she's lost in this case. I mean, after all, she still has her parry, and in those tight windows, it's still going to be pretty effective and serve its job. It's just not going to be something as belligerent to use as it was before, I would say.